Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, YouTube. Hello. It is Thursday. It is 9:30. It is Cotton Cuts time. You guys, I'm going to apologize. Start by apologizing. My voice has been itchy and scratchy. It's probably because I spent all week in New Orleans at a retreat talking the whole time and my voice is finally giving out. So I have plenty to drink. Hopefully I won't lose my voice because we have an exciting topic on the agenda today. Still misspelling on retreat slide, I think. Michelle will take a look at that. Okay. So we have a fantastic topic to talk to you guys today about, and that's curves. I am excited about this. I love curves. I love sewing curves. They're a lot of fun. And I want to take everyone who is who's afraid of curves and make you guys curve believers, or at least enough to be dangerous as we go forward. So I am not joined by Dominic today. Next week will be Dominic's last show. He's actually at school today. He's going through training. He's an 8th grader for orientation for the 6th graders. So he's learning how to get everyone on board and safely and into the right place. And so he is there today, but he will definitely be here next Thursday. He is planning our show, and I saw his outline yesterday. He is fantastic. I am looking forward to the last show with Dominic. I will miss his sassiness on Thursday mornings, but we will persist and we keep going. All right. So we'll start as we always do with questions that have been submitted by you guys. Go to cottoncuts.com/live to submit a question for the show. They're on the table in front of me when I sit down. I have literally no idea what they are, but we will see and we will all learn something new together. Yes, Janet, we had a ton of fun at the retreat. I hope you guys can come next year. We'll talk about the dates at the end of the show for next year as well. We've got some good locations and good dates coming for you. All right. So our first question this week comes from Sarah from Portland, Oregon. Sarah asks, I've been quilting for about 2 years now, and I'm starting to feel like all my quilts look the same. I stick to what I know works, but I'm getting bored. How do you push yourself outside your quilting comfort zone without ending up in a disaster? Okay, so I really like this question because I feel like, in the stages of development and learning, there's like everything is new and everything just feels like there's so much to do. And I get new and I get confident. But then I'm this dangerous learner, and I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm not confident enough to do something new and to jump into a new feat. And so, Sarah, I'm going to suggest this is, I think we've all gone through this phase. Like we've learned it. We've loved it. We can do piecing. We can take a charm pack. We can make a beautiful quilt, but then we don't really know what's next. And it can sometimes seem like an insurmountable elephant, right? And the advice when you're trying to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Now, mind you, I've never eaten an elephant, so I don't know if this is actually true, but I think the metaphor still holds. Whenever you have this big, insurmountable project, we can be sometimes tempted to think about it as something really big. Like, oh my gosh, there's so much new to learn, and I'm so happy in my comfort zone because I know it. Where can I possibly start? And so I'm going to suggest just picking one new technique. Just pick something new and dedicate yourself to learning that something new and learn it, master it, and then go to the next something new. Just pick something small. It doesn't have to be something big. If you're just a beginner, jumping into curves might seem like a huge insurmountable leap, but perhaps it's, hey, I'm finding that all my quilting is done with blue and green fabric. Hey, my next project, I'm going to push outside my comfort zone and I'm going to go with red. Or I've been doing a lot of squares. I'm going to start doing a lot more triangles or half rectangle triangles, right? You can take these just minor incremental steps. I'm going to learn foundation paper piecing and really immerse yourself in foundation paper piecing, but pick one thing. And I think one of the most important lessons for me is to make sure that you don't take on too big of a project that is just going to be an unfinished project later. You want to have that win, right? You want to make sure that you're like, okay, I'm going to learn foundation paper piecing. Please, 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 please don't pick a king size foundation paper piecing pattern for your first project. Pick something small. Pick a table runner. Pick perhaps a bag, an embellishment on a bag, or a foundation paper piece sweater, like a sweatshirt. We're all seeing these, embroidered patches on hoodies and on backs. Pick something small. That way you can master it, you can learn it, you can accomplish it. It can go into your tool belt that you can pull back later when you come back to it again. Same with like English paper piecing. Just pick one thing, Sarah, and make sure that you just immerse yourself in it. You love it, you enjoy it. And I've often said, I learn the most from things I don't like. I'm never going back to that technique. I've done it. I've tried it. I can check the box and say, yes, I've tried it, but I am never going to do that again. And I think that's one of those skills that knowing what you don't want to do and what you don't like is as valuable as learning what you do like. Let's see here. Kelsey says she's just started doing foundation paper piecing and it's so fun. So Kelsey, we went through all the surveys from our retreat last week in New Orleans, and the number of people that want to learn and advance their foundation paper piecing is huge. So I would be on the lookout for that at an upcoming Cotton Cuts retreat. Let's see here. It does seem like sewing and quilting is endless. That's why one bite at a time, one bite at a time. Let's see here. So Hope is saying that she has the directions for the small. However, she bought a large, and so you should get the directions for the large. So Hope, with all the things, send an email to help@cottoncuts.com, and Carrie, who is our primary member care rep, she'll take care of you. She'll get you sorted. She can definitely debug whatever is going on in the system and get you in the right place. Yeah, foundation paper piecing is a lot of fun, and so I think that's something that a lot of people are looking to get into that. So be on the lookout. We might bring in an esteemed instructor. In fact, we've already put out a couple asks for that. And bag making. Yes, bag making. So Terry, I don't know if you've done bag making before, but it is definitely a different side of your quilting brain. I think it's a quilted object. And so I feel like it should be closer to making a quilt. But by the time you're finagling this big bag with all this stabilizer in it through your machine, it's definitely closer to apparel making for sure. Deb Jean is saying she's taking classes at the Houston Quilt Show. Yes, fantastic. All right, great. And this is fun. I love it. Everyone has something new that they're trying to learn. And I feel like that's one of the best parts about being a quilter is nobody is truly a master at everything. Everyone's still learning. Everyone's still iterating. Everyone's still trying new things. And I love all that, which is why I'm fascinated about our curves topic today. All right. Thank you so much for your question, Sarah. Our next question comes to us from Michael from Austin, Texas. So Michael writes, I love the idea of joining multiple Cotton Cuts memberships, but I'm worried about being overwhelmed with too much fabric coming each month. How do you recommend balancing multiple subscriptions without ending up buried in projects? Okay, Michael, this is a great question, right? But I think this is probably a question that's for Cotton Cuts, but everything in general, right? Nobody wants quilting to feel stressful or overwhelming or, oh my gosh, I've got too much coming in and I can't keep up. If you're experiencing any of those things, then we've gone too far, right? So let's bring you back, right? I've always said we want to push you to the point of uncomfortable. So you're learning, but if you're panicking, we've gone too far. So it's a matter of first starting with a subscription that feels the most like what you would want. So start with one, say it's the classic, you want lots of fat quarters, or say you like the pre-cut mysteries, try the puzzle mystery quilt. And say you play in that sandbox for a couple of months and then you want to change to something else. Or say you want to try our Java membership because you like batiks, or you want to switch to something else. So that's one of the things about Cotton Cuts that I love is because we have so many different things you can do, you can bounce around. You can try different subscriptions. You can also, and I know not every company does this, you can pause your membership with us. So say you're in the middle of a classic membership and you're like, oh, I'm getting a little behind. We don't want to flood you with too much fabric. So just give us a ring, send us an email, and we'll put your membership on hold. And you can skip 2, 3, 4 months, whatever makes the most sense for you. Because we, like I said, we want to start from the beginning, which is joy and creativity and inspiration, not stress too much and overwhelming. Those are all bad things. But then also, I think one of the things that gets to your point here, Michael, is we have this platinum membership. So our platinum membership, we launched, oh my gosh, it's almost been about a year now. And so with platinum, you can then you can try different things. So say you want thread this month, or batiks the next month, or modern fabric the next month, or larger cuts or smaller cuts. So the platinum gives you the flexibility to try all of those things each month. And we give you a little sneak peek of what's coming, so you have more control over your membership as well. Jan is saying, start with one subscription, wait a few months. You can always stop a subscription with Cotton Cuts. Yeah, I think that's also one of those things. I see a lot of other subscription companies, and people always like, I can't cancel. We're super easy. If you ask to cancel, we're going to take care of it because we want you to be happy, and we don't want to send you things that you're not going to love. So I think that's one of our strengths that makes it easier. Let's see here. Erin says she keeps everything hyper organized and knowing the schedule for each next step of her projects. She's rotating and to keep on top of all of her projects. Yes, I think hyper organized is my ideal state, Erin, and I love that for you. And then the due dates. Yes, putting those due dates on your calendar is also helpful too. If I know, like, oh my gosh, that something is coming before it actually ships, I will work to get that clue done before it actually comes to me. All right. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your question, Michael. All right. So be sure if you have a question for us, I will answer it live. I will give you a shout out and appreciation. Go to cottoncuts.com/live to submit your question. Next week will be Dominic. So if you have questions for Dominic this is a fantastic opportunity to go in and submit a question for him and see if you can stump him or see where we go with the question. All right. Next up, what's going on in the shop? Okay, so I'm just going to say my team has been shipping machines. This week, we have been shipping so much stuff. Last week, we shipped so much stuff. So I did some calculations because there were some questions about shipping last week and what was going on. So last week, they shipped 3,000 packages, 3,000 packages. At what we are working at, that is more than one package a minute. More than one package a minute left the shop last week. And we have been at that pace, if not more this week. So you guys, we are shipping. We have things. We want you to have the things. And so we, you calling me boring? Michelle says that she's missing Dominic, that it's kind of without, we can put his little sassy here over here. So anyway, so we've been shipping. So we have gotten, by the end of the day today, everything for Under the Sea that was purchased before July 23rd will have shipped. So if you placed an Under the Sea order before July 23rd, it's going to ship to you by the end of the day today. Right. So make sure you're checking your email. Make sure you're checking your tracking. All of the Clue ones and all the prepaids come with tracking that is emailed to you. So you can track your package. Make sure you got it. We have the tracker at Where's My Stuff. It's about to be pretty boring because by the end of the day today, everything's going to move to done. We have done a fantastic job getting things out to you guys. Erin says hers is always the last one to ship out. So very sorry about that, Erin. If you're doing Marina, I am so very sorry. That is the last one to say. All right. A couple of notes. So some of the shipments we've been holding because we are missing 3 of our wide back backing fabrics from our suppliers. And we keep reaching out to them and they keep saying it's shipping and they keep saying it's shipping. And so guys, we're just sending your package to you without that backing. We have 10 months to get that backing to you. It is going to come to you in the future, but we don't want to delay your start to the program anymore. If you were impacted, there is a note and we have a little bit of gift for you as well. I also do want to apologize. So last week we had some labels that were created a little too soon. So one of our practices is we make sure that we correct shipping labels within about 24-ish hours of when a package is going to be shipped. So we were super excited last week and we generated a whole bunch of labels too early. And so you might have gotten tracking a little bit before the team was ready for it. We fixed all of that, you guys. And so now if you get a tracking label, your package is going to ship within the next 24 hours. It depends. Our mail carrier, we've been having him come twice a day and filling up his truck both times in the day. So it is coming to you. I promise you, if you have tracking, it is on its way to you. Now, what happens if you purchased after July 23rd? So if you came to the PMQ late or you decided to add another colorway at the end, so we got a large portion of those out the door yesterday. So we made a couple extra clues. And so we were able to fill a whole bunch of orders yesterday, but you are going to start to see shipping notification on those today through the end of this week and into a little bit of early next week. But everyone should be all caught up well before Clue 2 ships, which is almost a first for us here. We are about 2 weeks ahead of schedule from where we were last time. You guys are absolutely being so fantastically patient with us, and we appreciate it. The team everyone's coming in and working, guys. I promise you. We're not playing games. Nobody's coming in late and lollygagging around. Everyone is positively biased towards making sure you guys get the stuff that you want and that you love as quickly as possible. Let's see here. Marina and Oasis. Michelle, I'm so very sorry, but those were the last 2 colorways we did. We did Oasis yesterday. We're doing Marina today. So Michelle, your package should be shipping today. It's just the luck of the draw, guys. It just depends on what's ready and what the team is able to get done. All right. Yes. Okay. Fantastic. I need a flat Dominic. Okay. Yeah. So we'll get, I'm going to put that on Paula's list. We're going to have a flat Dominic. We're going to have kind of those life-size bodies that's going to sit here on the printed cardboard. All right. So because there's more than just the puzzle mystery quilt, we've also shipped all of our Clue 7 for flyaways. It seems like by the time we get into Under the Sea, we kind of forget that we also have flyaway going on. You guys, Clue 7 for flyaway. We are 3/4 of the way done with that mystery. That reveal is going to be coming up. It'll be coming up in November. So make sure you guys mark your calendars for the first Friday in November. That is going to be our big reveal for Flyaway. We will, of course, have guests and surprises and giveaways and all the things. Make sure you guys are keeping up to speed on your Flyaway clues. We are also shipping our Java memberships. So this is our Java bundle. Fantastic. It is 12 coordinated fat quarters of batiks. in a theme. And so this is the heat of summer. I feel this deep in my core, having spent a week in New Orleans in July and August, and now back to St. Louis. You guys, I'm feeling the heat of summer in my core, and this batik embodies it exactly. Let's see here. You're saying Dominic distracts me. You guys are distracting me right now. So Lincoln is here today. We can bring Lincoln up to distract me too. But yeah, that's good work. All right. And so we also have Tim Holtz, right? So in all these things that we're working on, we also have Tim Holtz Indigo. So that's coming off the bolt right now. It's going to be die cut today, and it should start shipping to you early next week. I think we have maybe 3 more colorways, 3 more colors left. I think it's purple, charcoal, and multicolor left of Tim Holtz. And then we get to start finishing those quilts. Love it. Fantastic. So the backing for Odyssey. So Stephanie, give us a second. We're still working on that one. We've had some, that's one of our suppliers that we're a little working with still to make sure we can get some things from them, but we should have an answer soon on that one. And then also, I know people have talking about Mystery 5.0. Yes. So Mystery 5.0 started yesterday, like in all the things that are going on. Mystery 5.0 fever. And so, our team here is participating with Mystery 5.0 as well as you guys. And so I know we're working hard. We've got folks that are taking these projects home and working on them in their, I will say, free time. All of us have children and commitments and all the other things and life outside of work. But Mystery 5.0 started yesterday, and the first clue dropped. And I've been seeing so much fantastic work in that Mystery 5.0 group. And so what I want to do is I want to show you Dawn is showing our Nevermore colorway, which is our Halloween inspired by Edgar Allan Poe colorway. And this is what everyone sewed yesterday. This is it, guys. There are 48 of these and there are 48 of these. And so that's it. So that was step 1. And, I know that with the pre-cut kits, it becomes really easy to sew this because you grab 48 of this, you grab 96 of this, 96 of this, and you're done. And then bam, you have all of your clue 1 ready to go. And it was fast. It was quick. It was easy. I saw so many people that had it finished really before lunchtime yesterday, which is fantastic work for that clue. But that's it. And then next week, we'll have another clue that's going to drop. And I am going to give you guys a sneak peek. You're going to start using some of the Pretty Prince fabric. And I know that it's a little bit of anxiety from everyone that those fabrics aren't numbered. And I'm going to promise you guys, trust the process. I know you're used to in a puzzle mystery quilt, everything is labeled and numbered, and it's sewing A to sewing B. Those are intentionally unnumbered as part of the mystery. And so I want you guys to be patient and see what happens next week, because you guys will have a little bit of a choose your own adventure. And I know I've said this before, that, this is one of those, even though we're all sewing kind of, 48 total. Yes, Liz, thank you. Thank you. This is what happens when, my voice goes on me. Miss the numbered steps. Okay, you guys keep asking all these questions. I'm going to get Paula to help me out here. But are there directions for Shop Your Stash peeps? So Terry, yes, you should have received an email and access to the file camp with the Shop Your Stash. So boxes of Mystery 5.0. So we do have some Michelle Showalter left of the Mystery 5.0 kits. If you would like to participate, it is still not too late. I think we have 4 of the 5 colorways left, and it depends on your border kit, because I think Ehe Rainbow might be done with the pieced border. So it depends on your border and your colorway, but we still do have some that are left in the shop. Yes, Jan is correct. If you sewed it yesterday before lunch, you might not have anything to do on Saturday, but you can still pop in to the Facebook group for Mystery 5.0 and voyeuristically watch everyone else's come through. All right. Where was I? Oh my goodness. We're talking so much. Let's see here. So that was clue 1. There'll be a Saturday sew-in as well, as Jana kind of alluded to. So we're having prizes and giveaways, and we'll have a video that we're going to put up with me kind of going through a little bit of the sewing process and how easy this all is. And okay, I feel like everyone out there, like there's just so much energy. There's so much excitement. And I am very grateful for my team for all the work that they have done. Today, we were like, and today is the day we're done. And everyone was just so happy and so proud. And we will celebrate, as we always do, with the Clementine's ice cream party, because that's how we celebrate here, with super fantastic, amazing, awesome ice cream. Oh, and then lastly, but certainly not least, so tonight at 7:00 Central, we are going to have a Facebook and a YouTube live where we are going to be bringing on almost all of our ambassadors that are sewing the Under the Sea. Sorry. Only 6, Paula says. Only 6. Like, that's only 6. Like, it's the 6. Is it the 6 coolest ones? Like, it is 6 6 ambassadors that are working with us on Under the Sea. And so it is going to be, to Bobby, to answer your question, it looks like it's going to be on Facebook and YouTube at 7 o'clock tonight. And we've sent them envelopes, and it says, do not open until the live. And so tonight we're going to get to see them open it on the live. These shows are always fun. There's so much personality. These characters, they love each other so much. And it is going to be fun to see them unwrap their surprise. I feel like some of them are going to be happy, and I feel like some are going to be totally surprised. So Danelle's saying she's a cool ambassador too. Yes, Danelle, you are like all of our ambassadors are totally cool. Yes, that is absolutely fantastic and 100% true. Okay, I think mercifully that is everything that is happening in the shop. So now we get to talk about curves. And so this kind of topic came up because last week we had Giuseppe, Juicy Juice, teaching at the retreat, and he demystified. I'm going to do demystified. This is what Dominic would be doing this. We're going to demystify curves for everybody. And so I know when it comes in the echelon of quilting and the hierarchy of skills, many of us put curves into the like super out of our box, right? I am never going to get to curves. This is something I could never learn to do. It is too hard and I could never get it done. And so in Giuseppe's workshop, he taught 30 quilters, first-time curves piecers, how to sew and how to sew them on a featherweight, which is a super simplified Singer machine from the 1950s. And we actually had one person complete an entire quilt top in the 2-day period that we had the show. I had the retreat. And so it was exceptionally approachable, very easy to understand. And we're like, perhaps we can do a topic during this show to give you guys enough confidence to be able to go out and try it yourself and to go find all the awesomeness that is out there on how to stitch and sew with curves, because it was actually very easy for people to pick this up. Okay, so a couple questions. So I think Michelle wants me to do curves. Okay, we're demystifying those curves. Let's see here. So Terry says she has a collection of featherweights. I'm going to challenge you, Terry, to sew a curve on a featherweight. The next PMQ sign up. So it is still not too late to get in on Under the Sea. Under the Sea signups will be open until Clue 3, which is going to be the end of September. And then we will have signups for the next mystery, which always start the first Friday in December. So we do have a little bit of time till the next PMQ starts, but you can definitely still sign up for Under the Sea. The sewing on Saturday. So it is going to be on Facebook in the Facebook group, but it's not going to be like a Zoom live. So we'll put out prompts. And our team will be monitoring the group and giving you guys, we just want to see progress. It's basically, we're going to solve, it's a virtual Saturday sew-in with progress, Bobby, to answer that question. Okay, so one of the things that I always thought was curves were something that really experienced quilters did. And I was never considered myself a really experienced quilter. This is something that we as quilters have, is realistic imposter syndrome. I've been sewing for 30 years. I should be defining myself as a really experienced quilter, but I always thought curves were something that were outside of my comfort zone. And what really got me past it was actually just getting in and trying it and realizing that all a curve is a straight line that bends a little bit. And I am going to share with you guys that at the retreat last week, we had a mixer, and one of our quilters raised her hand and in a true moment of just transparency said, I can't sew a straight line. And about 10 people raised their hands and said the same. So basically, if you can't sew a straight line, you're going to be fine, because now we're just going to curve it. So it's okay that you can't sew a straight line. We just need you to curve it just a little bit in a controlled direction, and you'll be sewing curves in no time. So why would you do this? Why would you jump into the deep end of this ocean and start sewing curves? So the first is it can add movement to your pattern, right? And I think a lot of times when we get in grids, when we get in a traditional quilt pattern, a lot of it is columns and rows. It's columns and rows. It can be a center medallion, but it's still going to be columns and rows that come out, columns and rows. But by adding a curve, you can start bending some of those lines in your quilt, which is also going to bend the way you can see at it. Janet, you are definitely at an advantage because you can't sew straight right now. So you are at an advantage for sewing curves. Curves can soften those harsh geometric patterns. So I know we get in squares and triangles and diamonds, but by having that curve, you can add some flow and some movement. And this is the surprising bit. Curves can actually be more forgiving than a sharp point, right? When you've got that square and it's coming together and it's not at a sharp point, you're going to see it because it's going to be, square coming into a square. And if it's off just a little bit, you can see it because it's going to break your line of sight. You're going to have to zig and zag, as opposed to a curve where your eye is already moving anyways. And so if it's a little bit off, it will absolutely be okay. And I know that we've had this, at perfect corners, perfect pieces. And if you're galloping by on a horse and you can't see it, it's totally fine. Curves are actually more forgiving for points and for junctions than actually a grid. Hold on one second. I'm going to take a drink here. Michelle wants us to have a mystery quilt with curves. Stay tuned, Michelle, because that's coming. So wait until the end of the show. All right, so I want to show everyone. This is my Tula Pink sticker that I got at Market. So I put it on my water bottle just because it makes me happy, and I thought it went well with the water bottle. All right. So the basics. The one thing that you really need to stay focused on when you're sewing curves is that you're actually doing a significant amount of easing the two fabrics together. So when I say easing, that means we're letting the machine do the work to make sure those fabrics come together. And so you're not going to be pushing, you're not going to be pulling, you're actually easing them together, and you're easing them together between points that you get to define. So what I want to do is talk about really the first step when you're sewing these curves. We're going to come back to cutting because that's going to come back at the end. But this is one of the pieces that came from our Winding Ways template. And so these are the templates that Giuseppe has for the Winding Ways. There are 3 of them in total. Here, I'll start first with the templates. So here are the 3 templates that Giuseppe uses for his Winding Ways quilt. And so you can cut them out of fabric. And so the first shape you're going to make is this lovely little guy here. And the first step is to make acorns. So you're going to put hats on these guys. Now, if you look at these pieces and you try to sew them together, like those are not straight, right? And so this is going to mess you up because you want to connect this black piece to this light blue piece behind it. One of the ways in which you're going to ease them together is you're going to find the center. Now, these pieces, this curve is really short and it's very, very subtle. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold it in half and you're going to either finger press the middle and then pin it, or just finger press it. And so that seems so simple. Everyone can find the middle of something. You're just going to fold the ends together and you're going to find the middle, and you can either finger press it or you can pin it together there. I'm just going to leave mine as a finger press because it actually made an indentation that's actually, you can kind of see it there. And then you're going to do the same with the side that you want to sew it together. So you're going to fold it in half and you're going to finger press it. Now, all it takes to sew this curve is matching up the pieces that you just finger pressed and pinning them. And so I'm going to do just that. I've matched up the pieces where I finger pressed and I'm going to pin it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to match up the corners. And so in the templates, most templates that you have, you can actually line up those edges together. And so I'm going to line them up and pin them. This is no different than when you learned how to actually stitch together a quilt, is you would line up your edges and you would pin them, right? This is how we teach kids to sew all the time, is to use pins if you want those edges to go straight. And so here it is. And so I found the middle and I pinned it, and then I found the corners and I pinned it. And so now all I need to do to stitch it is just stitch here and make sure that I'm pinning on the edge of my pieces at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And so on the easing bit, you can't necessarily match them perfectly. You can probably see it a little better here on the back, where like the black does pop up a little bit. It's not going to be perfect. And that's where the easing comes in, and where you have to let the machine do the work. You have to, excuse me. The way I look at it is when you're feeding that piece that we just pinned through your sewing machine, you're not forcing it through. You're persuading it to. I know we have some attorneys that are watching it. You are persuading the fabric to work together to go where you want it to go. You want the shorter curve on the top. So whenever you have these, some of them are shorter and some of them are longer. You want the shorter curve on the top. I'm going to encourage you, when you're sewing these together, to use the pattern instructions for which to put on the top and which to put on the bottom, because it is going to be different depending on the curve that you are sewing. You want one on the top, one on the bottom. And as you put it through your machine, it's compensating for the fact that your feed dogs are pulling through a little faster than your top piece. And that's going to help you ease in a bigger piece over a smaller piece. And you're literally sewing pin to pin. So when you're stitching these, look at your pin, look at your next pin. That's the piece that you need to stitch at your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then you go to your next pin. This one's easy. It's got 3 pins. I'm going to show you this template here. This is a large one. And so this is a clamshell. This is another very popular, common curved template and a curved piece. This one has actually 4 areas where it wants you to pin. Now, mind you, the distance between these two is really no different than the first piece I showed you. And so you pin and you mark and you match up those points. It's really that simple. You're sewing pin to pin over the curve and bam, it all goes together. Now, let's see here. You want to make sure you sew slowly, but I want to say this clearly, sew consistently. Where we start to get in trouble with curves is starting and stopping the machine too many times, because you're super tempted to go a certain distance, stop the machine, lift up the presser foot, turn, put the presser foot down, sew a little bit, lift up your presser foot, turn it. If you are in that phase of sewing curves, you're actually just sewing geometric lines. And so what you want to do is sew slowly, slow it down, and sew continuously. And so in that case, you're guiding the fabric with your hands and you're sewing consistently. Slow down, especially if you're just learning how to do this. Slow down and sew slowly, and make sure that you're persuading the fabric and not forcing it. Okay, so let's see here. So pressing. Now, I know as quilters, we are programmed and we are hardwired to press every seam that we sew. We've just pressed it. We've just sewn it. We want to press it. That's the process, right? You sew it, you press it, you sew it, you press it. You have to follow your pattern's instructions for curves on when to press. I am working on a quilt, and I'm going to show it to you guys in just a minute using this clamshell. And the instructions specifically say to not press until the end. And so you're not supposed to press at all. So your curve, go. So your curve, go. And that's because when you're sewing curves and you're in these little junctions down here, if you've pressed it, you are actually going to end up missing this point on this clamshell. And so you don't press until the very end. In Giuseppe's pattern for the winding ways, he was very specific about which patterns to press in which direction. Again, because when you have curves, ultimately you're going to have 2 curves that come together in an intersection. In order to get that a nice, crisp, clean point, you want to make sure you preserve your pressing and follow the instructions to maximize the chance that your curves intersect versus coming apart just a little bit. Excuse me. All right. So how can this go wrong? Yes, I know. And I have one, but I felt weird kind of, it's okay. This is real. This is like the behind the scenes. This is how you know this isn't recorded, because we're not editing this live. Okay. So how can this go wrong? So the first thing is puckers or little pleats in your curve. And so this happens when you haven't eased it enough, or you've sewn too fast, or you've tried to go too far between your stitches. If you've tried to go too far between your stitches, then you're going to get puckers and pleats. So go ahead and take it out and start again. The challenge with sewing curves is that all of these cuts are on a bias. We've talked about a lot of bias cuts, but all the curves are cut on a bias. So if you pick it out too frequently, it is going to stretch out on you, and you're going to have to recut those parts. So try to avoid that if you can. Let's see here. Sometimes you can stretch the fabric. You're easing it, you're not stretching it. So you don't want to hold one while the other one goes to get them to line up. That's actually really, really, really bad. Sounds completely intimidating, Hope says. It's okay, Hope. I promise you, just try one and just give it a whirl and see. And many, many folks, I watched it. I sat there and watched them. And when they learned it and they tried it, they were hooked. And there were so many blocks done by the end of the first day because they weren't afraid to try it. And they just eased it in and it made it work. And, everyone says their first block is always their learning block. And Giuseppe even said it in the class. The first block you make, it's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. The first time you try anything is hard. Your second block is going to be better. And by the time you get to 10 and you have a quilt, they're going to be perfect and amazing. And you're going to love all of them. So the block will not lie flat after pressing. So this is actually very common when you're sewing curves. It's you get puckers and you get bumps. And as quilters, we like it to lay flat, and we want things to be super flat when we're quilting them. And it's not even, I don't think it's a realistic expectation that a traditional quilt will always lay flat. But in this case, this can often be that your seam allowances are pressed in the wrong direction. And so that's why when it comes to pressing, always follow the pattern for the specific quilt you're looking for. Because like I said, I'm working on one. I am not supposed to press it at all until the very end. The instructions tell me how to work on seams at junctions, but you're not pressing until the very end. All right. So what I want to do is show you guys the clamshell quilt that I was working on. So I worked with this template, and I worked with the Tula Pink collection that I absolutely positively loved. And so what I have here, and one of the things I'm going to definitely tell you about when you're working with curves is to make sure you have a plan. So here is all of my cutout blocks, and they're labeled by the row. So that says 12. So this is going to be the 12th row of this quilt. And I have it all laid out and I have it in order. And so this is kind of the focal point of this quilt was I used it and I cut out all of these raccoons from the Tula Pink print, right? And so by using the clear template, I was able to fussy cut out all these raccoons, and you have it in order. This is something that when you're sewing with curves, the planning and preparation is so important. You have to be able to lay out and see where everything is going to go, because once you get it together, this isn't a block that you can just pick out in the middle and rotate it. Once it's together, it's together. There's no going back, as the song says. And so have a plan as to what color you want and what place. In the Giuseppe pattern, in the Winding Ways pattern, there's actually a planning sheet for you to work on what colors you want where, so you can have a plan before you start. Once you go with curves, there is no picking out and putting back into place. It is there, and it is there for good. So make sure you have that plan ahead of time. So let me show you guys this quilt. Like I said, I'm on row 12, so there's 11 rows in here already. So this is by Latifa Safir as the pattern. And so she conducted a workshop, and she came and taught my guild. And of course, by the time I got to retreat and I wanted to finish this quilt, I'd completely forgotten it. So thankfully, there's YouTube videos that made this very, very easy to put together. And so I'm going to show you guys a little bit of this lovely quilt. But here is an example of what curves sewn together could look like. And so for this, right, like I said, I'm on row 12. And so I laid out and color rainbow orientation, all the parts and pieces that I wanted to do. So it starts with the yellow and the green. And then about halfway through, it's going to shift to purple and to pink. And then on the bottom, it's going to go back to a blue, right? And so I had to do all that planning and lay it all out and keep it going. But I started with the first curve. I was nervous. I didn't know what I was doing. I took the class at retreat many, many months before. And by the time you do your first or second, by the time you get to the fifth and sixth, I was flying through it because it was so easy to do. I was able to talk at retreat. I wasn't one of those people that had to cloister because I was sewing on curves. And so it was literally just getting past that first and second curve and then keeping going, and it went together. And so I was able to do all those 11 rows in about 3 or 4 hours. And so it was fantastic. It was quick and it was easy, and I am addicted and I'm hooked, and I am a curved piecer like aficionado, because I know that if I could do a curve that is this long on this long of a piece, I can sew any sort of curves. I just have to think about it, practice it, and then I'll be able to do it. Yeah, Greta, it was definitely, I love Tula Pink's, the trash pandas, the raccoons. And so it was fun. How would you finish the edge on a curve or a straight? So Kelsey, this is a fantastic question. So with the clamshell pattern that I'm working on, this actually allows you to cut like orange peels, and it actually allows you to cut pieces that are at 45-degree angles, so it finishes square, right? And so I actually have pieces on here on the top that are able to finish this square. Now, when we were doing Winding Ways, that pattern as traditionally defined has rounded edges on it. It has this scallop that goes all around it. And we talked about this in the class because, like me, people were like, oh, we want to have it nice and square because we can bind a quilt that has square edges, and that to bind a quilt that has rounded edges is hard because it all has to be bias cut binding because it's going to stretch and pull on you. And Giuseppe's response is fantastic. He says, the design of this quilt is meant to be circular. You want to see these full circles as you're doing all these curves. This is part of the process. You want to see that fully developed circle. And if you cut it off to square the edges, yes, you can do that. You can definitely do that. You don't have to add the bonus pieces, but you're losing some of the design elements and you're losing some of the continuity of the circles that you're working so hard to build. And so his suggestion was on the winding ways to keep the circle. Yes, you can square it off, but in that design, in order for the continuity, keep them round and challenge yourself to do the bias binding or find someone that knows how to do it for you. And that was his suggestion. That was his fix for that. So I think it really comes down to personal preference. And in seeing the finished quilt that does have the rounded edges, I mean, it does complete the look and it makes it really, really nicely done. Now, so what can you do with this information? So there are, the easiest one is winding ways because it has such small, like short curves. But there's Drunkard's Path is another entry-level quilted, curved pattern that is relatively easy to do. There's also, if you want to get real funky and fancy with it, Orange Peels, Wedding Rings, Robbing Peter to Pay Paul. I am also seeing online a lot of curves coming into a traditional quilt block. So I am seeing curved log cabin blocks. I am seeing curved flying geese. Basically, improvisational quilters are bending anything that traditionally has a square edge to give it that movement, to make sure that those intersections don't necessarily meet up perfectly and giving it movement so it moves together. Now, what does all this mean for cotton cuts? So I want to make sure that you guys are cool and comfortable and confident in going out and learning how to sew curves, because as part of the retreat, we invested in dies that can actually die cut curved parts. And so I think we talked about these a couple weeks ago, but this is actually a die that will cut this template piece. And so you guys can see it right here. And so we pre-cut all the kits for the people that attended the retreat. We pre-cut them at a large volume and put together kits. And during the retreat, we had a person that completely finished a quilt top because it was completely pre-cut. Giuseppe says that never happens because in his classes, people spend so much time cutting these guys out. And when people are manually cutting these guys out, they have to use a small rotary cutter and there's mistakes. And we're sewing it together, your blocks are all wonky. However, by having these templates already in the dies and us die cutting them, people can focus on the actual color placement and the assembly, which is where most of the learning happened for our retreat attendees. They didn't have to worry about getting yardage and cutting out 3 of these in a blue and 3 of these in a lighter blue and 3 of these in a darker blue. They were able to actually sew the fabric together and make a finished project. And so in the coming week or two here, we're going to start putting up some leftovers, not leftovers, but some unfinished kits from the Winding Ways using Giuseppe's latest collection, 40. And so what that kit will include is it's going to include these templates for you. So it'll actually include acrylic templates from Giuseppe. It'll include the pattern, and it'll include all the pre-cut fabric that you need to make the Winding Ways quilt that was made at the retreat last week. It's going to give you the instructions. And of course, Giuseppe has tons of video content out there to help with it as well. We will do just like we had with the retreat attendees. There will be a cream background and there'll be a black background. I'm going to make the black background because I really, really like the way those fabrics look together with Giuseppe's collections. So we are getting more patterns, we're getting more templates, and we're finishing up the kits that we took with us to retreat so that way we can have these on the website. So if you want to be the first to know when these are available, they're only going to be a limited run because it is a lot of fabric. It is a lot of kitting. Make sure that you're in our Cotton Cuts Fabric Facebook group. And I also want to tell you, while we had Giuseppe, while we had Juicy Juice with us, you're missing the Dominic vibe. Okay, Michelle, I will let him know. You're like his favorite, Michelle. He loves you so much. I will let him know how much you missed him as well. We also, when we had Giuseppe, we had him pick out some of his favorite sewing notions and some of his favorite things. And so coming up on the website in the next couple of days, you're going to see like Giuseppe's favorite notions bags on our website. Again, if you want to be the first one to know, because they're in limited quantity, we don't have a ton of them, make sure you're in our Cotton Cuts Fabric Facebook group, and we will be able to put up there when we have both the Winding Ways kits as well as the Giuseppe's favorite items bags. And so make sure you're watching the groups for both of those. And let's see here. I think that's everything I had to hopefully make you more confident and a little bit more dangerous about sewing curves. Like I said, start small. All of us can sew this distance. This isn't a big giant curve. You can sew this distance without problem, without hesitation, because all you're actually doing is sewing from this point to this point, and then this point to this point. And everyone can sew, what is that, about 2.5 inches? Everyone can sew about 2.5 inches. And before you know it, you're going to pop it out and you're going to have all these, we called them acorns because they almost looked acorn-like. They could have been like perhaps hats, but everyone was able to sew during the retreat. Everyone was able to sew all their acorns together. They were perfect. They were amazing. And they were able to get all of these done. And then it was block assembly afterwards. Okay. All right. I think that's it for everything on curves. Well, actually, no, we need to talk. Can you make a demo video on that curve? Michelle, that is a fantastic idea. We will add that to the hopper. We'll probably do that in conjunction to posting the kits on the website because, like I said, we've got these dies and we're going to be partnering with Giuseppe. So almost every single one of Giuseppe's new collections will be able to die cut and produce this pattern for him. And we're also going to start looking at collections that we can do this pattern with as well. And so this is going to be an opportunity to be able to recreate that pattern in the latest and greatest. And I can't tell you how amazingly simple it is with the dies, because to make this pattern yourself, you would have to have 30 different fabrics, a 1/4 yard of each. And you would have to manually cut all these curves to get 2 or 3 curves to sew together, 2 or 3 curves to sew together. The pre-cut kits are definitely the way to go if you're interested in doing this. But Michelle, I will put on the list to get a demo of this process together for you. All right. So clearly we had a lot of fun in New Orleans. We had a great time bringing all these people together. I put up a huge post in the Facebook group because I was so appreciative to the team, to the attendees, to the city, to Giuseppe, and to Dominic, who did a fantastic job at the retreat. That little booger was awesome. He had a lot of fun as well. And so I want to talk about 2026 retreats. So we have Sonoma that's coming up at the beginning of September. I think there's still maybe 2 or 3 seats available. I think there's still 2 or 3 seats available. People will have to check me on that. But Sonoma is still coming up at the end of the month. That is going to be a hoot and a half. We're already working on our dinner theater show that's going to accompany the Puzzle Mystery Quilt. It's going to be super fun. We are also working on Denver, which is coming up in March. And we're also working on Savannah, which is going to be coming up in May. So in about a month's time, we'll have more information about pricing, as well as agenda, as well as featured attendees, all of those super things. It is fun. You guys, we had a bonkers good time at the retreat, and I cannot wait to keep doing that again and again and again. As long as you guys love it and you keep showing up, we will still keep doing it. All right. Now, before I sign up, I just want to make sure Mystery 50 pre-cut kits are still available. Grab yours. That program is just starting. You are not too late to join at all. Let's see here. Don't forget Dominic, his final show. Michelle, I will tell him you are looking forward to him. He is going to be excited to start his 8th grade year, so he will have to miss out. But he's got something special planned. And then we have our giveaway because you've been hanging out with me till the very end. So what we're going to do is find this video on YouTube, on Instagram, or on Facebook and answer this question. If you were going to make your first curved quilt, or if you already have, what pattern would you choose and why? Or if you don't know and you just want to try it, you can definitely answer that. We'll pick one lucky winner who's going to earn a $25 gift card to our shop. Don't forget to put that comment. And also, let's go. If you guys are working on curves, let's post those into the Cotton Cuts Fabric Facebook group and show your progress to the group. Show people. Hopefully, you can inspire people that didn't get a chance to catch this live, but are inspired to join along and to try it for the first time. It would be fantastic and amazing. Like I said, this is not a penultimate tutorial on how to do it. Just enough to give you enough confidence to go and follow the content and start learning more and take this bite out of the elephant next for you guys. All right. I think that's it. Did I miss anything, boss? Okay. Boss says no. Boss says I got it all. Woohoo. All right. Fantastic. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will see you next week at 9:30. Where we will have Dominic, and happy sewing. I'm sorry. What? Oh, don't forget. She's like, so Paula's over here doing this. Don't forget tonight at 7 o'clock. We've got the big live with some ambassadors. We're going to reveal colorways. Don't forget to join us next week for Dominic's last show. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend, gets lots of sewing done, and we will see you soon. Bye now. And cut. thank you so much for watching our video. We have so much fun making these, and we hope that you were both delighted and inspired by what you just watched. This video was sponsored by Cotton Cuts. Cotton Cuts is your one stop for all the best fabric and thread memberships. Love fabric? We've got you covered. Love thread? We've got you covered. We get that no two quilters are cut from the same cloth, which is why our memberships are as unique as you. We also have the largest block of the month in the world. Over 4,000 detectives solve our puzzle mystery quilts every year, and you can join them. Simply go to cottoncuts.com to learn more about all the awesome and fun things that we're doing. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to make sure you get all of our new fresh content every time it comes out. Thank you so much. Happy sewing enthusiasts, and we will see you soon. Bye now.